From an economic perspective, it doesn't make a lot of sense to spend Bitcoin at this point in time. The reason it doesn't make sense to spend Bitcoin right now is because Bitcoin is an appreciating asset. By that, I mean that Bitcoin's purchasing power will increase with time. What is it that makes Bitcoin an appreciating asset? Bitcoin has many great qualities that makes it superior to all other forms of money that have existed prior to Bitcoin. But let's look at something really fundamental about Bitcoin that makes it an appreciating asset, namely Bitcoin's heavily skewed supply and demand. This is an amazing chart. It contains a world of information. On the x-axis, we have time, but here measured in number of blocks, or block height as it's known. 210,000 blocks is roughly 4 years, so every little box here is 4 years. On the left-hand y-axis we have number of bitcoins. If we follow the blue line and look at the y-axis, the supply started at 0. About 17.5 million bitcoins have been created so far, and there is never going to be more than 21 million bitcoins, meaning that there are only 3.5 million bitcoins left to be mined. If you're born in the 80s, you will reach the age of retirement somewhere around here, when 20.98 million out of Bitcoin's 21 million Bitcoins will have been mined. On the right-hand y-axis, we see Bitcoin's issuance rate, or inflation. In the beginning, there were no Bitcoins, so the expansion of the supply was exponential. Then we see very clearly that Bitcoin's inflation rate is decreasing in steps. This continuous slowdown in inflation rate will continue until there are no more Bitcoins left to mine, giving Bitcoin a fixed final supply of 21 million. We know exactly how many Bitcoins there are right now. We know exactly how many new are being created every day. And we know exactly how many Bitcoins there will be at any given point in time in the future. Bitcoin's issuance model is predetermined and predictable and works like this. Miners mine Bitcoin blocks. With every newly mined Bitcoin block, new Bitcoins spring into existence. One block is mined on average every 10 minutes, meaning that new Bitcoins are created every 10 minutes. This is how new Bitcoins are issued. In the beginning, 50 new Bitcoins were created with every new block. Every 210,000 blocks, or roughly every 4 years, the issuance rate is cut in half. So after the first 210,000 blocks, after the first 4 years, the issuance rate dropped from 50 new Bitcoins every 10 minutes to 25 new Bitcoins every 10 minutes. 4 years later, there was another halving event, and the issuance rate dropped from 25 new Bitcoins with every new block to 12.5 new Bitcoins with every new block. The next halving event will be next year in 2020. Then there will only be 6.25 new Bitcoins with every new block. The supply of Bitcoin is fixed at 21 million, and the issuance rate is gradually reduced as we approach that number. The last Bitcoin will be mined sometime around the year 2140. Unlike the dollar, Bitcoin will, by design, not have its supply expanded over time. Demand will increase, but the supply will not, and this is very important. Just like real estate on Manhattan, Bitcoin's supply is inelastic, it cannot grow, which is going to drive demand into the skies. There are 7.5 billion people in the world, but only 21 million Bitcoins. There won't even be enough Bitcoins for every millionaire in the States to own a full Bitcoin. You do the math. Demand will increase, but the supply will not. The dollar's purchasing power decreases over time because it has a constantly expanding supply, which gives us, the people, incentive to spend our fiat fast before it loses any more of its purchasing power. Then there's Bitcoin, providing incentive to save instead of spending, because Bitcoin increases in value over time.